All right, we've got LSU players with us today, and we're ready for questions. A few reminders here, no video on cell phones. Photos are fine. If you have a question, raise your hand. If you have a follow-up, let's make sure that you have a mic as well so we can get that on the record also. So if you have a question, the LSU players, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you to get us started on this Friday. Anybody? Mark, you want to start us off? Mark Long in the middle, please.
For Trey, just going back, did you guys take a lot of satisfaction? People thought you guys were falling apart without, with the coaching situation. Do you take a lot of satisfaction in the way you guys performed and, basically leading wire to wire in that game?
I feel like our team is definitely gelling with everything that's going on. I feel like we're getting a lot closer together, and we're just going to take it one day at a time, just like we've been doing. And that game's behind us now. We got to move forward to Maryland and just know that we got to take it one game at a time, one play at a time, and just do what we've been doing.
Here in the second row, please.
Gary Smith from the Florida Times Union. Either of you fellows want to handle this, but until you actually play somebody else from the SEC, did you take note of the fact the SEC went 4-0 yesterday? Florida was a 10 seed and won. So, are you rooting for the other teams if you're not playing them in the conference?
I think we as players who went through conference understand how tough the conference is, and I think it's good to see all these other teams do well and survive in advance, and I think it just shows how tough the SEC is. So, we want the best for the league.
On the aisle, yes, sir.
Skylar, right here on the aisle here. Maybe you could address how has the transition coaching-wise worked in games? Are you hearing different voices? Do all the assistants have a ton of input? And logistically, just how does it work and how is it different?
I don't think it's definitely different. Just hearing a different voice as the head guy. But I think Coach Wade gave all the assistant coaches somewhat of freedom throughout the year. So it's not foreign for us to hear Coach Heyer or Coach Armstrong outside of Coach Benford. So, I think these guys do a great job of listening to everybody and taking the big takeaway and applying it on the court.
Question, raise your hand. Mark, here in the middle, please. And then we'll get to you next, sir.
Yeah, Mark Long with AP for Cavell. Maryland's got a couple of big guys, almost two of them twin guys. How difficult do they look on tape to match up with?
It's going to be a pretty good matchup. Obviously, they're great players. And like I said, we're looking forward to the matchup. I know they're physical, big, long, athletic, so it's going to be a good matchup. But I feel like me and Nas, we're going to be prepared for them.
Third row on the left. Yes, sir.
Hey, Glenn Gilbo, USA Today Network, Louisiana. Tremont, when Will was coaching, he seemed to signal a lot of plays during the game and communicate with you a lot. And just from watching the last couple of games, doesn't seem like anybody is doing that from the coaches. So are you doing a lot of the offense kind of on your own, what y'all have done all year, and you're basically calling it?
Yes. Well, obviously in the huddles, Coach Benford and the coaching staff are giving us plays to run and just basically on the fly. Either I'll call the play or Skylar will call a set just based off what we see, and it's just a read that we make pretty much throughout the game. And if things break down, Coach Benford calls a play. So
let's go here.
Yeah, it's as long as we keep winning, it's definitely working.
Here on the second row on the right, we'll get to you next, sir.
Cavell, who did you think was the biggest, most physical SEC team did you guys go against this year? And is it going to be a similar experience to playing Maryland?
I think teams like Alabama, Florida, they're pretty physical. Mississippi State, they got a lot of big guys down there. So there's a variety of teams that are pretty physical, but those three were probably the ones that stood out the most to me.
On the far left, right behind you.
How you doing? This is for Trey. I'm on Lot, FAMU TV 20 News. Trey, you had 7 assists yesterday. You did a good job being a floor general. How important for you is it you to lead the team and not turn the ball over?
Well, as a point guard, I feel like that's my job, and when we first started the season, Coach Wade pretty much said that the ball is like the state of Louisiana, and if I turn the ball over, then that's not good for the state and obviously for our basketball program as a whole. And that just goes to show that like we have to take care of the ball, obviously, if we want to win. So that's just my job. I believe I live up to it, and I'm going to continue to do that for my team because they deserve it and we deserve it.
Other questions? Here in the middle, yes.
Back to Trey. You were talking about how you've taken over a little bit of the play calling, but is it new that after a timeout that you break the huddle and then have your own little huddle with the team? Is that something new, or is that something you've done all year?
No, we pretty much done that all year. We pretty much go out after we hear the play calls and the defensive schemes and everything, and based off what Coach is saying, we go out and just say it again, so that we just keep it fresh in our minds and so we know what we're doing when the plays start.
Got a few minutes left with these guys. Any other questions? Here on the right side.
For any of you guys, especially you guys shoot a lot of three, I know you're not playing Wofford, but have you guys seen Fletcher McGee shoot? And I'm wondering if you are a little bit envious of the freedom he has to shoot threes all day long.
Wofford was actually the first team I played in my college career, so I'm very familiar with Fletcher McGee, and he's having an unbelievable season and accomplishing great things. And I watched them yesterday. They beat Seton Hall, so he's a terrific player.
Third row on the left.
Skylar, have there been points in games like this last game where y'all's lead went down a little bit, and then Florida where you lost the lead, where you were thinking, I wonder what Coach Wade would do at this moment or what he would do at that time?
I think, all the way throughout the game, I try to think what would Coach Wade do, not just when things get a little hectic, but there's not really a game that I can remember where we had a big lead and, it got back close, and we were able to pull it out. I think the Florida game we had a good lead and it got away from us, but that's something that we definitely have to do a better job. The great thing about us is that we're able to, get a big lead in the beginning, and now we just have to work on sustaining it.
In the back in the middle, yes, sir.
Cavell, the matchup with the front court's gonna bring a lot of attention. What have you seen out of the two bigs, and then how important is it for you guys to get quality minutes out of Emmett and Darius in a matchup like this?
It's important because they're physical bigs, well skilled. I think both of them can post up and make plays inside the post and also on the perimeter. So having the other guys coming in to bring minutes is going to help us a lot.
Final couple of minutes. Any other questions? We'll go here again. Yes.
Tremont, you had a great first half, and then kind of in the second half, it kind of tailed off a little bit. What changed, and how do you, put together a full 40-minute quality game?
Well, yeah, obviously going into the game, we had a great game plan, and as the game went on, we kind of slowed down in transition, and I feel like that was our biggest letdown. And for me, I wasn't pushing the ball as much as I should have in the second half, and I feel like just shots weren't falling, so that was it.
Any final questions? All right, guys, thanks a lot. Good luck to you. Coach Benford will be here at 1:55, so 9 minutes from right now. Thank you.
injuries from last night? Yeah. How about the kid next to you? Did his computer go flying or something? He did break his iPad. Nice. Joe, you look like it.
whatever was said yesterday. All right, Coach Benford with us now from Louisiana State University. We'll get straight to questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand, and we'll get a microphone to you. We'll start here on the third row on the aisle, please.
Gary Smith from the Florida Times-Union. Coach, the SEC went 4-0 yesterday. 4 years ago, they only got 3 teams in the tournament. Last year, 8. This year, 7. Yesterday's game is 4-0. What would you say the state of this conference in basketball is right now?
Well, it's a tremendous league. I mean, I think that's a testament to it right there with going 4-0. But I've been coaching a long time and been in some great leagues. I was in the Big East when they sent 11 teams to the tournament that one year where UConn won it. And this league I thought our league is comparable to any league in the country and similar to that league back in the day where every night you have to come out and play great basketball. You have I contributed to great coaches, got great players, and you got great environments. Every gym, every arena you go to, you're going to play in front of a sellout house. So I think it's just a tribute to the great players and coaches and the great fans in the SEC.
On the left side, in the back, yes.
Coach Benford, just got out of the locker room, and Skylar pointed out it doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but when Emmett dove into the media row in the front row, he just gave his entire body, didn't care. Now, they didn't get the ball, but it almost said it kind of fired up the team. Skylar said, what are you seeing from Emmett and also the team that they'll give everything, break a body bone, whatever it takes to get a ball for LSU?
Yeah, Emmett's kind of Emmett brings a toughness to us, and he's got you talk to him, he never shuts up. No, but he's got a great personality, and that's his game. That's his role on his team. He's going to do all the intangibles, and he's going to get all the 50-50 balls. He's going to take charges, and he can finish at the rim, and he's just a great teammate for these guys, and he's great to coach. I mean, I love coaching him, and he's always got a smile on his face, and we're very fortunate to have him. And he needs to play well tomorrow because he's going to get some grown men tomorrow.
On the aisle on the left, we'll get to you next, Mark.
Barry Sperluga from the Washington Post. Tony, you've been in this game most of your life. You're sitting in the chair you are now because your boss was accused of paying a player, potentially. Do you believe that college basketball players should be paid?
That's a good question. I mean, I think, the NCAA's changed the rules and made a lot of changes to try to help them, for to give them different stipends and different things, to try to help the athletes because some of them come from tough environments, So, I'm kind of on the fence on that, I'm not leaning one way or the other, but I want to make sure we take care of the athletes. I think you have to make sure that they have everything they need to, to be successful, and I think, we're trying to do that through the different stipends that they're getting right now.
On the right side here.
Tony Mark Long with AP. The team had its doubters coming into the tournament. Did you sense that motivated your players, and did you feed into that at all to keep them motivated?
Well, the thing I really appreciate these guys is, we can control what we control, and that's just getting better every day with our preparation and with our focus. And I think there's no doubt they had an edge to them because, obviously they know the noise is out there, but I've tried to, you got to keep blinders on and have tunnel vision and focus on the task at hand, and that's to prepare like we were preparing for Yale, but now it's the task to prepare for Maryland, a very quality Maryland team. So that's what we try to do, just kind of stay in the moment right now.
Let's go in the far back left, and we'll come back up front.
Wayne Viner with Terp Talk. What particular challenges does Maryland pose for you tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I think Mark's is a great coach. He does a tremendous job. When you look at their numbers, I mean, especially on the defensive side, they do a great job. They're one of the top teams as far as scoring defense and field goal percentage defense, and one of the best rebounding teams in the country. And you look at Bruno, I mean, I think he scares you once you look at him, man. He's really good, a good player. And then Smith is playing really well. And then Anthony got a great quality point guard. But it's going to come down, guys. I think it's very simple. I mean, it's going to be who wins the paint and who wins the rebounding battle. I mean, I think it's going to be that simple. They're really strong in the paint, and we're pretty strong in the paint, and we're good on the glass, and they're good on the glass. So I think the point guard play is going to be huge. Draymond and Anthony, that's a great matchup. And so I think it's going to come down to that, paint and rebound, who plays the best at the point guard position.
Here on the second row, please.
Hey, Coach. Glenn Gilbo, USA Today, Louisiana. I know you've said a few times that all the assistant coaches and you are helping a lot. Which coach would you say is, during the game, working most with the offense and with Tremont?
Well, I pretty much do most of the offense. Okay, Coach Heyer does really concentrate on the defensive end. And then Coach Armstrong, he'll handle our substitution and depends on the game. Like tomorrow's game is Maryland, and it's Coach Armstrong's scout, so he'll do a lot of the defensive stuff for them, and then handle the substitution too. And then Coach Heyer will help him with that. So we kind of do it by committee. And we kind of did that. One thing with Coach Wade, he delegated that too, even when he was here. We split our scouting reports, for our different opponents. And whoever had that scout, had a lot of input on the game plan, on what way to run offensively and what we do defensively.
But Tremont is doing more himself, right, than when Coach Wade was here, would you say?
Yeah, I would say probably a little bit more, because Tremont, we trust Tremont because he knows, and not only Tremont, but Skylar too. With those guys as far as they have a feel sometime on what to run. Like I may make a call, Trey, run this, and then if he sees something else, he can change the call. I have no problem with that because we trust him, with the ball.
Let's go left side of the aisle here. Yes.
Follow up to that. How does your prep change now that you have 3 coaches working on it instead of 4?
Well, that's a good question. We haven't changed a whole lot. Okay, one of the things we tell our players to narrow focus. We've had to narrow focus too. We got to really concentrate. But what we've done again is as far as our scouts, like Coach Heyer had Yale, Coach Armstrong had he's got Maryland, and so he'll lock in on that. And then I myself, we all look at tape, regardless of who we play. The upcoming opponent, all the coaches we all evaluate tape. So I've looked at Maryland's about 4 or 5 games, and I have a pretty good feel for what they do offensively, defensively, and their different tendencies and stuff. So we're all kind of doing it. We're doing it by committee.
Let's go on the aisle first, and we'll go to you next, sir.
Trey had a great first half and then kind of tailed off in the second. How do you, bring out a full 40 minutes from him of quality basketball? And is that something you stress to him going into tomorrow night against a tough point guard like Cowan?
Yeah, good question, Billy. I think with Trey, I really thought he was focused. Not only Trey, but I thought all our guys were in the first half yesterday. And I think, we talked about it as a staff when we talked to Trey about it. I think going out in the second half, we just got to kind of stay aggressive. I thought he was a little bit passive in the second half. We want him to stay in that attack mode, and that's what he's got to do. Really, I thought he pushed the ball in transition. He was very aggressive in transition in the first half. In the second half, I didn't think he was as aggressive, and we want him to be more aggressive. And we may try to run some different plays for him to kind of get him going.
Let's go on the far right, and we'll go down here on the second row.
Andy Staples, Sports Illustrated. Picking on a couple questions ago, how did the division of labor change without Will? How much does each guy have to do more of to make up for it?
Yeah, well, I think the one thing is, one thing with our staff, we've got a great relationship with our players, and we spend a lot of time with them. Okay, as far as that, spending time with them, as far as the responsibilities of the scouting reports, like we say, and preparing for the next opponent. We're all doing that. One guy may have the opponent, and then we all are doing that. As far as you look at the going back to the game plan. As being a head coach, I'll try to prepare that game plan and get in more detail in exactly what we have to do. I'll try to do that as a head coach.
Let's go to the second row in the middle, please.
Bria Wesley, FAMU News. Coach, I just want to know, how well do you think the team is adjusting to your system currently?
Well, it's not my system. I hadn't changed a whole lot. That's the one thing I learned when I became the intern. Keep it the same. Keep the same, because I'm not changing. There's no reason to change it. We won 16-2, winning the SEC. So there's no reason to come in here and say, hey, I'm gonna run my offense, stick my chest out. Hey, it's all about these players. And so I've kept everything the same. We have the same playbook. Everything is the same as far as what we're doing, and as far as sets we're running offensively, what we're doing defensively. And again, like I say, Coach kind of delegated a lot of stuff to our guys, and so the other coaches are really helping in our preparation too.
Let's go here on the aisle, and then you next, sir.
Coach Mark Long with AP again. You talked about the paint matchup being key. Can you just give us a little bit more on Cavell and Nas and what kind of players they are and whether they're ready for this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, there's no doubt. I think Cavell's our most experienced player, obviously, and he's had a great year. I mean, he's improved a lot. He stood out last year, transferred from Oregon, stood out. He's gotten bigger and stronger, and he's one of the best shot blockers in the country. And and he's gotten better offensively. And you saw last night he made a great play against Yale where he blocked a shot, he ran and got a putback, got a layup on the other end. And that's what he's got to bring, that energy, that rim protection. He's going to really have to bring it tomorrow and really defend his position and hold his ground, especially against Smith and Bruno. And then Nas has been great to coach, guys. I mean, he's, like I say, he's in great shape. He's smart, very smart player. He's got a great skill set, play inside, outside. He can rebound the basketball. So he's got to do a great job of defensively on Bruno or Smith, and then we got to have him score in the paint and also be able to make some jump shots for us tomorrow. Pretty much, but we like to corral that. I like him to shoot closer to the basket most of the time, so I talk a lot more. So we talked about that.
Let's go to Andy on the right, please.
How much harder would this be if you didn't have a point guard as mature and trustworthy as Tremont?
That's a really good question. It would be a lot difficult, because the thing with Tremont, guys, is as a coach, sometimes you can get in your players' way, and some coaches do that. I think when you have a guy, the better your players, the less sets you have to run offensively. You got to trust him. He can go make plays. You got to trust him. Sometimes he may throw the ball somewhere you didn't want it to go, but he's gonna be aggressive and he's gonna make the right decision the majority of the time. So he makes it a lot easier.
Got a few minutes left with the coach. Any other questions? Coach, thank you. Good luck. Oh, hold on. One more right here. I'm sorry. Yes.
For guys like Nas and Cavell, this matchup, how much is on the line for them to really show out on a huge stage against two talented front court guys like this?
Well, they played against some quality big guys in the SEC. P.J. Washington's pretty good. He's a pretty good player. Grant Williams and Schofield, those guys are good players. So it's important because if we don't win, we go home. So it's the most important game of the year for us, and they understand that. And there's no more tomorrows. So, hey, we got to play well tomorrow or we go home. But I think our guys will be ready to play, and we're looking forward to the challenge.
Everybody good?